Hey everyone, I'm Jack Codiga. I'm a Christian, I live in North Carolina, I work in finance, and I'm concerned about our country. I believe America has failed because we have fallen short of our founding ideals of freedom. As citizens, it's our duty to reshape our government into one that prioritizes liberty. A free society, as I see it, strikes a balance between minimal government intervention while ensuring essential systems function effectively. While it's hard to define it more precisely, I'm exploring how we should be governed freely and invite you to join me on this journey in this video and beyond. Right now, I'll explore why our nation isn't truly free and what must change, focusing on a subject that I know pretty well, our financial system. I'll dive into how our debt-driven economy undermines freedom and advocate for free market capitalism and a currency immune to arbitrary control. The core of my message is summed up in what I call the freedom mindset, which recognizes that liberty-centered governance stems from acknowledging that our rights come from a higher power and insisting on equal application of the law by our government. This mindset extends to all facets of our system, not just financial. So whether you're concerned about our education system, election process, or justice system, or if you're passionate about issues like affordable housing or the environment, embracing the freedom mindset ensures our government remains fair, free, and accountable. My goal is to steer our focus away from the complexities dominating public discourse and instead establish foundational principles rooted in freedom. Then we can engage in productive discussions about the nuances. Let's embrace the freedom mindset to pave the way for a better America. All right, let's dive into the economy. Back in college in 2016, I began understanding how the economy works. I was struck by the casual indifference among those smarter than me about our almost $20 trillion debt. The rationale? Since the government controls the dollar, they can magically erase the debt by printing more money whenever they please, so it's no big deal. But that really bothered me. Granting any entity unchecked control over our currency is a dangerous road because whoever controls the money has immense power, a power that stifles freedom. What's even more unsettling is that our financial system has a fundamental flaw. While printing money might seem like a quick fix, it relies on the assumption of perpetual growth because we have to continuously print money to sustain our country. When we spend beyond our means, we print money to cover the interest on our debt, creating a harmful cycle of indebtedness. What started as a $20 trillion national debt has ballooned to $35 trillion in just 7 years. This isn't good. All debt must eventually be repaid, and any disruption to the economy could lead to catastrophic consequences. But we can't find comfort in the illusion that printing money solves our problems. Instead, we should be deeply concerned about the erosion of our freedom. While this strategy might temporarily buoy our fragile economy, it comes at the cost of devaluing the dollar, leaving us poorer and less free. If we truly value freedom, we must reconsider our economic framework, beginning by understanding the rationale for printing money. The Federal Reserve, or Fed for short, creates money out of thin air, primarily through trading U.S. government bonds. They justify this practice under mandates to maintain maximum employment and a 2% inflation rate. We are told that these economic indicators are good for us, but they don't even make sense. I don't care what CNBC, Fox Business, or the Wall Street Journal says about that. If we want to curb the government's ability to print money, we must challenge their mandates head on. Let's start with maximum employment. Is employment truly the best measure of economic well-being? Shouldn't we focus more on whether people can afford a decent life, rather than fixating on job numbers? Maximum employment seems somewhat arbitrary, doesn't it? And the same goes for the Fed's 2% inflation target they're chasing after. You see, those in power conveniently define inflation as a year-over-year change in prices. But this definition falls short because it fails to isolate the factors affecting price levels. A better definition of inflation is the increase in currency yields. This distinction separates money printing from other factors affecting pricing, like basic supply and demand. The quantity theory of money explains the real nature of inflation. The money supply multiplied by the speed of circulation equals price levels times output. Simplifying it, price levels are determined by the amount of money in circulation divided by the economy's output. We can say that because the speed that money circulates in the economy should not significantly affect pricing in the long term. In essence, price levels reflect the ratio of the money supply to the real economic output. Here's a critical takeaway here. Stable money supply and increased economic output should make life more affordable, which is what we'd expect in a healthy economy. It's absurd to think that life becoming 2% more expensive each year is a sign of a thriving economy. Not 1% because that's not expensive enough. Not 3% because that's too costly. No, 2% is the magic number. This arbitrary target doesn't hold water, even within their flawed definition of inflation. The Fed's fixation on 2% inflation showcases the mental gymnastics needed to justify our debt-based system. On the flip side, injecting more money into the system without corresponding economic growth leads to higher prices, which seems to be more the case in our country. But it's not that simple. Despite our country's economic growth, life has become less affordable as we've increased our money supply. This isn't okay. Life should improve alongside innovation. And haven't we innovated? I mean, just look at the device you're watching me on. There's a significant gap between what has become more accessible and what is not, such as essentials like education, healthcare, and housing now considered luxuries. Why? It could be linked to the fact that we've inflated our money supply by 4.5 times since 2000. It's alarming how many people can't afford homes that have been standing for decades. Most of us feel the impact of our broken economy, but to get to the heart of our issues, we must hold the Fed accountable. It's not just that their flawed decisions have deprived us of the gains we should see from our productivity, but their very mission that diminishes our wealth and freedom. No one should have so much control over the value of our money. True freedom demands a currency free from arbitrary manipulation, as Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution underscores, by designating gold and silver as the only legal tenders. While the topic of what our money should be sparked significant debate, my focus in this video isn't to settle that debate definitively, but rather to highlight how our current system contradicts the notion of freedom and calls for reform. Clearly, our government is using more force than necessary in its management of our currency. Moving forward on the topic of what we need for true freedom, let's discuss free market capitalism. Unfortunately, capitalism has become a dirty word in our culture. Many blame our capitalist system for the hardships in our economy. However, this blame is misplaced because capitalism is an adaptable economic system that responds to its environment. Blaming capitalism for our problems is like attributing issues in China's controlled markets to its capitalist traits. It simply doesn't hold up. Instead, our economy is better described as a welfare state fraught with cronyism and convoluted tax schemes rather than being truly driven by market forces. Embracing free market capitalism is essential because it strikes a balance between market dynamics and necessary rules. It aligns public benefits with individual interests, fosters wealth creation, fair competition, while preserving freedom. The key idea about our economy and freedom is this. For a society to be free, it must also be economically free. You don't need to be an economist to see why free market capitalism and a stable currency are crucial for true freedom. To stay aligned on important issues, you must understand that a free society balances authority with limits. We need to embrace agreed upon principles, which I call the freedom mindset, to live out these ideals. This starts with recognizing human nature and the risk for abuse, which requires checks and balances to prevent government overreach. As the primary watchdog over our government, safeguarding freedom aligns with our best interests. Therefore, the actionable step we must take to ensure our government advances freedom is demand it operates with the minimum necessary force. Here are the principles we need to uphold to ensure our government behaves correctly. First off, our government must treat everyone equally under the law. Deviating from equity or equality undermines freedom, as achieving equity demands extensive government intervention to redistribute wealth, which contradicts with the essence of freedom. Similarly, striving for equal outcomes disregards individual contributions, and even the aim for equal opportunity is problematic, as it requires government control over opportunities. In a free society, real opportunities come from the free market, not government control. In summary, in a free society, individuals should have maximum control over their wealth, while the government ensures equal application of the law. Any deviation from this principle is risky. The final and most crucial principle of the freedom mindset is recognizing that our rights come from a higher power that transcends time and dignifies all. Rights derive from a power greater than society itself, will be the highest form of justice. If rights are man-made, they can be revised. Similarly, arguing that truth is subjective opens doors to dangerous ideologies, even when presented benignly as trust the experts, or adopting a live and let live mentality. How do we confront extreme injustices like genocide if truth is subjective? The debate over truth isn't whether it's subjective or objective, but it's about which claim to objective truth is correct. This discussion not only shapes our societal structure, but also holds greater importance in politics. It guides how we live our lives and consider eternity. Above all, I'm a Christian, and my faith has influenced my belief in maximizing freedom. Recognizing that God grants us enough free will to reject Him underscores the fundamental importance of freedom in our society. America is such a special country because we are founded on an objective truth of protecting people's God-given rights. That became our nation's great mission, as stated in the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. You've probably heard that before. It continues on and it provides our duty as responsible citizens. Here it is. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends being our natural rights, it is the right of the people, let's repeat that, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form. Guys, I believe the time has come to alter our government and steer it back towards its intended purpose. We strayed off course for too long, and now we don't even have a free country. I want to point out though that this is a battle of ideas. And to become free, we must share a vision on how we want to be governed. To do that, let's embrace the freedom mindset, where we recognize our dignity comes from a higher power and demand equal application of laws. This can help us set clear boundaries to ensure our government promotes freedom. I firmly believe this mindset is the ultimate tool. I've applied it to illustrate why our financial system is flawed and why free market capitalism and a currency immune to arbitrary control are vital for a free society. This mindset is like a Swiss Army knife because it provides a versatile framework applicable to any governance challenge we face. I'm going to continue using the freedom mindset, and I'm going to continue exploring how we should be governed in a free society in future discussions. Stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching. Let's stay connected. Let's stay committed to freedom. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Till next time.